Hey everybody, and welcome back to Fed News. November to December will be taking place this week as we head towards Survivor Series. Let's get started. So in the wrestling news, Paul Roma is in talks with the UWA Developmental. Phil LaFron, for many of you who probably doesn't know who that is also in talks with UWA Developmental. He was also known with the tag team of Doug Furnace. Currently, there's plans to bring Phil and Doug in if they both agree to the contract. Hercules, however, has signed with the UWA Development. So as you can see right there, he's ready to go. It'll be interesting to see if Paul Roma signs with him and if we get Power and Glory in the future. Stay tuned. And we'll start with week one. So in Velocity, Simon Diamond and Simon Dean, unofficially known as the Simons, defeated the Good Brothers by pinfall. Giant Gonzalez defeated Titus O'Neil by pinfall after Titus came out and cut a promo, basically dedicating these matches to Darren Young. Darren Young, of course, is doing better. He went into surgery. He will be out for a little while, possibly 3 to 4 months. It's not career ending, so unfortunately he dedicated this match to Darren, but Titus fell short when he was beaten by Giant Gonzalez. The main event would see Larry Sabisco defeat Roddy Piper, though, to become the new UWA International Champion. Now on the main show, the number one contender match was announced for tonight. The Usos would defeat the Nasty Boys by pinfall. Batista would debut and defeat Shinsuke Nakamura by pinfall. Debut on the main show, that is. Marty Jannetty defeated A-Train in an upset by pinfall, and Braun Breaker and The Fiend defeated Rock and Roll Express by pinfall. The main event would see Chris Jericho defeat Cody Rhodes and Nathan Jones in a triple threat match to get another chance at Yokozuna. However, this time Jericho had a stipulation he would like to run by. So on to week two. As Velocity took place, Johnny Gargano defeated Titus O'Neil again. Not happy with the dedication, trying to get a victory in the name of his tag team partner, his friend. It did not work out that well. Meanwhile, Owen Hart and Cesaro defeated Norman Smiley and Reggie by pinfall. In the main event, we see Macho Man Randy Savage retain his title over Doink the Clown by pinfall. That is the UWA Television Championship. So on Superstars, Chris Jericho requested that it'd be a special stipulation, and the deal was Yokozuna got to pick a representative. So the main event would see Chris Jericho defeat Shinsuke Nakamura by pinfall, who would then reveal what his stipulation for the match would be. But first, before we get there, Jerry Lynn defeats X-Pac by pinfall to become the number one contender for the UWE Light Heavyweight Championship. LOD defeated the original Midnight Express. Batista defeats Bob Backlund by pinfall. And Braun Breaker and The Fiend defeated William Regal and John Morrison by submission. Jericho would announce at the end of the show his stipulation will be a last man standing match between him and Yokozuna for the UWA World Heavyweight Championship. On to week three now as Titus O'Neil finally gets a victory and defeats Sylvan after Sylvan was bragging about how Titus was failing at his goal. Chris Candido and Don Morocco would beat Simon Dean and Simon Diamond by pinfall. The main event would see Owen Hart defeat Cesaro and Larry Zbyszko to become the new UWA International Champion. Owen would then declare that this belt will only be defended at the pre-show for the pay-per-views on Velocity from now on going forward, not every 2 weeks, like originally stated. Over, though, to the main show, as Chris Jericho announced his match will be a last man standing match, as stated, the replay of that. Bob Backlund defeated Marty Jannetty by submission. Heath Slater defeated Cody Rhodes by pinfall, earning a spot on the Survivor Series team, as apparently it is going to be William Regal and his crew of Braun Breaker, Nathan Jones, The Fiend, and A-Train, of all people, would take on John Morrison and Cody Rhodes, who were looking for partners. They would get them in the team of Bob Backlund and Heath Slater, who defeated Cody Rhodes to earn his spot on there. The Usos would defeat Rock and Roll Express by pinfall. X-Pac would go on to defeat Brian Pillman in a non-title match. However, A-Train would prove his worth by defeating Batista by pinfall after interference from Braun Breaker and The Fiend. Over to week four now, and Norman Smiley and Reggie defeated the Good Brothers in an upset. Sylvan would defeat Titus O'Neil by pinfall, squaring one apiece. In the main event, Justin Gabriel defeated Macho Man Randy Savage to win the UWA World Television Championship. Afterwards, Savage congratulated Justin Gabriel, shaking his hand, holding his hand up high, and quietly exiting the ring. Over to Superstars now as Heath Slater defeats The Fiend by pinfall, proving that he is a valuable member on his team. However, A-Train versus John Morrison ended a double DQ due to interference from both sides. Nathan Jones would defeat Cody Rhodes by pinfall, proving that he will be a force to be reckoned with. And even William Regal would upset Batista by pinfall, given the height and weight advantage of Batista over William Regal. The main event, though, would see Bob Backlund secure his spot on that team by defeating Jerry Lynn, Braun Breaker, and Shinsuke Nakamura by pinfall. On to the pay-per-view now, as it would be Jerry Lynn versus Brian Pillman for the light heavyweight title. LOD would take on Gemini for the tag team titles. The Survivor Series 10-man elimination tag would take place. The Usos versus the Rock and Roll Express as well. And the main event would see Chris Jericho versus Yokozuna for the world title in a last man standing match. And here are the results. Cesaro defeating Giant Gonzalez by pinfall. This is, of course, a pre-show Velocity. Titus O'Neil and Sylvan ends in a double countout, so they're tied to one apiece. Good Bros, Simon Dean, and Simon Diamond defeated Doink, Norman Smiley, Reggie, and Johnny Gargano by pinfall. In the main event, we see Larry Zbyszko regain his title over Owen Hart to become the UWA International Champion a second time. Pay-per-view would kick off with Jerry Lynn defeating Brian Pillman by pinfall to win the UWA Light Heavyweight title. The Usos versus the Rock and Roll Express ends in a time limit draw. LOD would become two-time tag team champions by defeating Gemini by pinfall. And Heath Slater would be the lone survivor, outlasting the team of William Regal, Nathan Jones, Braun Breaker, A-Train, and The Fiend by pinfall. It says A-Train by pinfall. It actually would come down to A-Train and Heath Slater, who a month ago A-Train would defeat Heath Slater. However, this time Heath Slater would surprise A-Train with a schoolboy roll-up, securing his team a victory. The main event would see Yokozuna defeat Chris Jericho by KO because he could not answer the 10 count, retaining the title, still your world champion, Yokozuna. And there's the champions. You've got Jerry Lynn, the new UWA Light Heavyweight Champion. John Morrison, of course, his belt not on the line at the pay-per-view, nor did William Regal's belt on the line. Justin Gabriel becoming the new UWA Television Champion. Larry Zbyszko becoming the UWA International Champion a second time. Hawk and Animal regaining their tag titles they lost to Gemini, becoming two-time tag team champions. And Yoko remaining undefeated in one-on-one matches, let alone still your world heavyweight champion. That's all for this week. Check back next week as we head towards Armageddon. Who will be the number contender? Who will walk out of the pay-per-view as champions? You'll have to tune in and find out. Till next time.